Brock Purdy is probably one of the coolest stories I've ever seen. He went from Mr. Irrelevant in the 2022 draft to Mr. Starting Quarterback for one of the best teams in all of football. In the entire history of the NFL, no player picked at 256 has ever thrown a forward pass, let alone 8 touchdowns. In the 4 games he's played so far, he's thrown 912 yards with 8 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Not only that, but he has a 67 completion percentage and a QBR of 113.6. Those stats are amazing for an NFL quarterback, but Brock Purdy was drafted in the 7th round. Literally no one knew who he was until a few weeks ago, and now he's a top tier QB. So how did Brock Purdy get to be the starter for such a good team? That's what we are covering today. If you like being entertained and staying informed about what's going on in the NFL, make sure to like and subscribe because we post 3+ times every week. Going into week 1 this season, Brock Purdy was listed as the 3rd string. Ahead of him was 49ers long-term quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, who was backing up the starter Trey Lance. For the most part, Trey Lance looked like a decent quarterback, but after a broken ankle literally in week 2, Jimmy Garoppolo would have to once again start for the 49ers. There was a lot of offseason debate on which team Jimmy G would sign with, but with Seattle in need of a quarterback at the time, the 49ers took the safe route and kept their QB in the Bay to back up Trey Lance. After Trey Lance got injured, it was obvious that signing him was a good move since he became the starter for the rest of the season. This moved Brock Purdy up to the 2nd string, which was a big deal since Mr. Irrelevant was now pretty high up on the roster. For most of the season, Jimmy G was a solid starter, keeping Brock on the bench. Everything was looking solid until the 49ers faced the Chiefs in a tough Week 7 matchup. The Chiefs ended up killing the Niners in a 44-23 game that was never even close. But this is where Mr. Irrelevant saw the field for the first time. Since the Niners were down 3 scores in the second half, there was no harm in getting the backup some experience. Brock Purdy ended that game with only 66 yards and an interception. It was a pretty bad performance, but in his defense, it was the Chiefs, and it was his first start. After this bad game, the 49ers finally got rolling, beating the Rams, Chargers, Cardinals, and Saints, giving them a win streak of 4. But this all came crashing down in Week 13 when Jimmy Garoppolo broke his foot. Or did it? Brock Purdy stepped up very early in the game and led his team to a fashionable 33-17 win over the Dolphins. This was an amazing feat since this is Mr. Irrelevant we're talking about. Mr. Irrelevant no more. Now Brock Purdy is Mr. Relevant. Since the win over the Dolphins, the Niners have been red hot and are currently on an 8-game win streak. These games aren't close either. Just this past week, the 49ers beat down the Commanders 37-20. I think we can all agree that it'd be pretty cool to see Brock Purdy have a great career. Anyways, that's all for today. Make sure to check out more of our videos.